Today on CTV News at 5, Jamaica on high alert, preparing for the worst as a monster Category 5 Hurricane Melissa makes landfall, hitting the island with full force. Plus, Jays fans still recovering after a marathon 6.5-hour baseball game as they get set for Game 4 of the World Series tonight. And winterizing your garden. Fall steps to successfully weather the cold in this week's Get Growing. CTV News at 5 starts right now. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Category 5 Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Jamaica today, hitting the island with full force as one of the most powerful hurricanes ever to make landfall in the Atlantic. This video was captured in Montego Bay as the hurricane was making landfall in New Hope on the island's southeast coast. Maximum sustained winds at landfall were 295 kilometers per hour, and the storm starting to pick up speed slightly. Forecasters at the U.S. National Hurricane Center are calling this an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. Some Waterloo Region residents have family in Jamaica and say they're hoping everyone finds shelter and stays safe. CTV's Karis Mapp spoke with a local restaurant owner who lived in Jamaica for most of his life and joins us live with his story and connection. Karis.
Well, Leanne Orville Edwards is the owner of Silver Spoon in Cambridge. He lived in Jamaica for 36 years before moving to Canada and opening his restaurant, but most of his family remains on the island. Edwards says he's been keeping in contact the best he can with everyone back home. His sister, nieces, nephews, and friends all still live in Jamaica. Edwards says they are scared, but are doing all they can to stay strong and keep their spirits high. Officials say electricity on the island is now sparse and communication is limited. For Edwards, this is an experience he knows all too well.
I remember the days when I was in Jamaica and hurricane come, I have to on my feet to helping people out, like people who can't move. We get organized to get them out, bring them to the church or the school, or we play a good part back home. So I know I'm not there now. It really hurt me so bad. You know, I'm going to put my help.
Coming up at 6, I'll hear about relief efforts happening both nationally and at the local level. Leanne.
Okay, Karis, thanks very much for that. CTV's Karis Mapp reporting live this hour. And Alex Pinto joins us next with a closer look at that storm as we continue to track it. It has dropped from a Category 5 at this point in time.
Yeah, so it did make landfall as a Category 5 and just moments ago. Currently, it is sitting at a Category 4. As we take a look at that system again, that changed just moments ago. But yes, making landfall in Jamaica 1 o'clock this afternoon officially, and max winds, like you said, 295 kilometers an hour, so quite strong. This is the strongest hurricane there since Gilbert. That was back in 1988, and even getting into the overnight hours tomorrow morning. So early Wednesday morning, 140 miles per hour, which is about 225 kilometers an hour in terms of those max winds. That's what they could be experiencing when we look ahead at tomorrow. So at this point, that storm headed towards Cuba. So here's another look at Hurricane Melissa as well. So there potentially could also be indirect rainfall impacts for Canada, this potentially starting as early as Thursday. So heavy rain expected possibly to hit the Maritimes by Friday. So that is something in terms of we are keeping a closer eye on there is, yeah, what is that indirect impact for Canada? So we're going to break that all down a little bit later as well.
Okay, definitely lots of developments as we continue to track that storm. Alex, thank you. Let's check some other news we're following now. The mother of a Guelph man who died in prison 1 year ago this week is renewing her call for accountability in the case. We go to CTV's Tony Grace live in studio for a closer look at this and some other news we're following. Tony, good afternoon.
Leanne, thank you. 23-year-old Brody Robinson was found without vital signs in his cell at Millhaven Institution. Police say the initial investigation determined his death was the result of foul play. But a year later, the investigation continues. His mother says she hasn't been given any information about his death, and she wonders why charges haven't been laid yet.
There should be charges. Somebody should be responsible for my son's death. And how come nobody's been charged? I don't get it.
Coming up at 6, Krista Simpson will have more on her search for answers. And we'll have the latest from Queen's Park, where the Premier defended proposed legislation to scrap fixed election dates and increase the limit for political donations. Ontario's Attorney General described fixed date elections as American style and says doing away with them will better position the province to respond to changing circumstances and threats. The current rules still do allow governments to call elections sooner. The bill would also increase the amount an individual can give to a political party from $3,400 to $5,000. More on these stories at 6. Leanne?
Okay, Tony, thanks very much. And we are going to take a quick break and tell you what you need to know. The night before Halloween is a night made for mischief. Check out the free Family Mischief Night on Thursday at the Homer Watson House and Gallery. It's taking place from 5 to 7 in the main gallery and grounds.
And taking a live look outside from Waterloo, we are noticing a little bit more clouds starting to roll in, but great to see some earlier sunshine in the day. We'll take a look at your full local forecast and how trick-or-treating is looking at this point. That and more coming up.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVKitchener.ca, your home for news.
There are a lot of tired people across Canada today. Hopefully you were able to get some sleep last night after that marathon of a baseball game. Instead of the typical 9 innings, Game 3 of the World Series doubled that to 18. The Blue Jays ended up losing to the Dodgers 6-5 in a game that ended just before 3 a.m.
High fly to center. Varsho back. Game over.
Freddie Freeman hit a leadoff home run in the bottom of the 18th to give the Dodgers the victory and a 2-1 lead in the Fall Classic. Both teams burned through a number of pitchers and emptied their benches. It also came on a night when Dodgers slugger Shohei Ohtani delivered a remarkable postseason performance with 2 homers and 2 doubles. The 18-inning marathon ties the record for the longest World Series game. After carrying the Dodgers at the plate, Ohtani will take the mound in Game 4 tonight. Shane Bieber starts for the Jays. First pitch at 8 o'clock. Hopefully tonight's game won't go quite as long as it did last night. I think many of us are hoping to get a little bit more sleep tonight. With the World Series in full swing, so too are sports gambling ads airing in tandem with the games. But a senator from Waterloo Region is leading the push to restrict when and where sports betting can be advertised. Senator Marty Deacon's bill, the National Framework on Sports Betting Advertising Act, would bring forward a national strategy to regulate gambling ads. Last week, her bill passed a 3rd reading unanimously in the Senate. Still, the bill must go through multiple readings in the House of Commons to become law, but it is gaining traction.
Ways to pull on the reins and quickly so that the folks that were most vulnerable, our young people, could somehow be discouraged from seeing this advertising.
CTV's Spencer Turcotte will bring us more on the push coming up tonight at 6. Stay with us. We have more news and your full local forecast coming up. But before you go, we'll tell you what you need to know. Enjoy an evening of food and fun at Little Mushroom Catering's Tapas and Trivia Halloween Edition. It kicks off Thursday at 6 p.m. It's all in support of Food for Kids Waterloo Region. Book your team table online. Stay with us.
When you
Okay, so Game 4 of the World Series tonight. A little bit on the cooler side of things. I know the game has been playing outside tonight. It's playing in the Uptown Square in Waterloo. Also, I believe in the Gaslight District in Cambridge.
Yeah.
So for anyone heading to those, I think you probably need to bundle up extra layer, especially when the sun goes down.
Oh, if I was going to one of those, I would definitely be bringing maybe a blanket or 2 and all the layers.
But not too bad. You could be cozy if you have all the layers.
Yes, exactly. So it's you got a little bit of comfort there. And there's something kind of nice when it's a little bit chilly in the air, but you're nice and bundled up.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not going to be in terms of a washout weather-wise, so hey, it might be nice to actually enjoy it outside. But I know to your point, many of us are tired. I, too, am tired. I think I stayed up a little too late last night.
Yeah,
but,
we can't have that game go that late tonight. There's no way.
As we take a live look, though, from uptown Waterloo, from Public Square here, we're noticing a little bit more of that cloud cover starting to roll in, and it's expected to stick with us as we get into the overnight hours. But if you had a chance to get outside earlier today, hopefully you got to enjoy a little bit of that sunshine. It may have been a little bit cooler with the wind out there, but overall it was a pretty nice afternoon, and again, nice to see hopefully get a bit of that vitamin D, because over the next several days, more cloud cover that is expected to be with us, and the chance to see a bit more weather, which we will get into in just a moment. But starting with the latest for Hurricane Melissa. So yes, making landfall this afternoon at 1 o'clock in Jamaica. It did reach that Category 5 storm status. It has now been downgraded just moments ago, as we mentioned at the top of the hour, to a Category 4. But we saw max wind speeds, 295 kilometers an hour. The storm at this point now set to make track towards Cuba. So in terms of the rest of the day, so rainfall indirect impacts for Canada. So this could start as early as Thursday, depending on where you might be. So it potentially could bring rainfall to parts of Ontario, Quebec, as well as the Maritimes. So this, though, is due to a separate low pressure system that is set to develop over southern U.S. Midweek and then track north. So that's where that's going to be coming from. But heavier rain to hit the Maritimes in particular by Friday. So anyone, yes, on the East Coast there, just keeping a closer eye on the situation there. A little bit closer to home for us here in Waterloo Region. Yeah, it's a bit of cloud cover, as we mentioned, but great to see some sunny breaks earlier in the day, and more cloud expected to build up as we get into your Wednesday, and then jumping to your Thursday. This is when we could see some of that wet weather start to roll in, particularly heavy at times too, especially if you're going to be a little bit further north Thursday morning. So Barrie, Aurelia, or if you're in the Peterborough area. For us here in Kitchener-Waterloo, it should start fairly light, but we could see it on and off in terms of just how much rain we are expected to see. And of course, that potentially could impact plans for trick-or-treating. We are still, though, several days out, so we're going to keep a closer eye on that. Temperature-wise, 9 degrees here in Waterloo Region at this point, 11 in London, 11 if you're also in Goderich. Overnight, expected to drop down to just 0 periods of drizzle as we get into the overnight hours into your morning. Yeah, 11 degrees expected daytime high, mix of sun and cloud. That was supposed to be our daytime high for today. We did not hit that, at least at this point. And again, some periods of drizzle possibly expected to stick around as well. In terms of daytime highs and lows, we are sitting pretty seasonal for this time of year. And big time, we're noticing that sunrise and sunset inching closer, that sunrise to 8 o'clock, and that sun is setting shortly before 6:20 in the evening. So over the next few days, yes, some drizzle expected for tomorrow before we could see a little bit more cloud cover and the chance for some wet weather for your Thursday. We are in Tanya's garden this week for Get Growing. Thank you for having us here.
Oh, you're welcome. This is the fun part.
It is the fun part. You're going to be putting us to work a little bit too.
Yes, we are.
As we talk about what we should be doing in terms of winterizing our gardens.
You got it. So we started last week. We started with that spiral thing that we put on all of our fruit trees, and we'll see in a few minutes. We'll talk about a Japanese maple that's got done. But what I actually want to talk about is our broadleaf evergreens. So when we think about broadleaf evergreens, what we're actually talking about is a plant that's got evergreen, so it might have a needle, it might have a leaf, but it's a little bit larger or a little bit flatter than, say, a traditional spruce tree. So behind me, I have this little darling. This is called a Japanese umbrella pine.
It's beautiful.
And she's a little sensitive, and that's okay. She's beautiful, but she's sensitive. So one of the things we want to do is protect from wind. And the burlap screen, like we've got in place, super, super easy way to do that. But what I'd suggest, before you burlap, make sure you get some of the stakes in place. So it's beautiful, it's warm, soil's decent. We pounded these stakes in place this morning. We set them up in a teepee because that's going to shed the snow. And then we're actually just going to, when it gets a little cooler, run out with our burlap. I've already got this started with a staple gun. There we go.
And
we're
pretty
just gonna,
straightforward too to get this
we're
done.
just going to wrap her up.
Okay.
Right, so nice and simple.
How tight do you want this around?
We want it fairly loose, so there needs to be a little bit of give.
Okay.
And when we Bingo. And all I'm going to do is just going to keep working around.
Working around it. Okay.
Yep.
Toss
There
this
we
way.
go. But for the magic of television, I'm just going to leave it here.
Perfect.
And I'll finish up the details a little bit later on today when we get finished. But again, what we're doing is protecting from wind. So we want to make sure that our cedars, emerald cedars, black cedars, our pines, our boxwood, rhododendrons, we want to make sure that we burlap them up.
Okay.
If we can't do that, then we want to make sure that we're spraying with a product called wilt-proof. This one is called an anti-desiccant.
Okay.
So it actually helps when I spray this on. If there wasn't a burlap cover, it's a wax, and that coats the needle so it doesn't transpire, it doesn't sweat as much.
Okay, now we're going to be talking protecting our trees from our rodent friends.
You got it.
Of course. You've got a pretty good example here with this Japanese maple.
Beautiful. This is actually one of my favorite trees. Japanese maples are a really good, they're a little bit of a bunny buffet. So you got to be careful.
Okay.
So last week or a couple weeks ago, we talked about wrapping our fruit trees with a spiral wrap.
Yes.
Right? And that makes it much, much easier. So we've started, and if we can lift up this little guy a little bit.
See what we did.
You
looks
can
very
see,
familiar.
Yep. I've got one branch that's been wrapped. Now this particular tree, because the branches are so big and it's not that bushy at the base, super easy to keep going with a few more of those plastic wraps.
Okay.
If this one was a little bit bushier at the base, the plastic wraps don't make sense. In that case, we're actually going to use a product called Plant Skid. This one's totally organic. The rabbits hate the taste, so do the deer and the mice.
Okay.
So this I would actually spray tail end of November and then again in January, and I'm going to work it from the ground up.
Okay.
Right? So I'm not worried, in most cases, for rabbits, I'm not worried about damage that's happening 6 feet tall. Rabbits, I'm worried about damage happening at chest high, because last year out here we had enough snow that my snowdrift was a couple of feet, and then the rabbits are sitting on top of it and they stretch.
Okay, finally, we are now talking about what to do with your grasses.
Yes. So when we're looking at our perennials, whether that's ornamental grasses or things like echinaceas, sedum, black-eyed Susans, all of these, I actually leave mine up over the winter.
Okay.
So super, super simple. One of the reasons we do that is if I cut the stems on these, I find that they're hollow and a whole bunch of little pollinator insects actually winter in there.
Okay.
The other thing that's really cool, and we'll see if we can photograph this, is the seed heads.
Right.
When we take a peek at that seed head, in another couple weeks, it's full of seeds, and that's what the finches and the little birds are going to eat out of all winter.
Oh, get out.
So I just leave these up and do nothing.
Do nothing.
Yes, nice and simple.
Nice and simple, easy peasy,
Yeah,
low
you
maintenance.
got it.
We like it.
We want to keep it low maintenance. We want to keep your garden happy.
Love that. And then we'll be ready for spring.
You got it. We'll talk soon.
All right, Tanya, thank you so much.
No worries.
Halloween night is Friday, but there's going to be plenty of sweet still in downtown Guelph this weekend. Grab the kids in costumes and say hello to local businesses for downtown Guelph's trick-or-treat event Saturday at noon until supplies last. Stay with us. An arrest has been made in connection to a shooting that happened over a year ago in Waterloo. No one was hurt in the May 2024 incident. It took place at a business in the area of King Street North and University Avenue. Jalen Bell McCormick was arrested Friday and held for a bail hearing. You can read more about the investigation on our website, scan the QR code, or go to ctvnewskitchener.ca. And now the final 5 stories we're following today. Canada Post has announced it is laying off dozens of its managers in an apparent bid to restructure the company. In a memo sent to employees early this morning, the company says it was moving ahead with the layoffs as part of corporate-wide restructuring efforts to align with the future needs of the organization. The exact number of employees to be laid off is unknown. All of this is happening as Canada Post is set to return to the bargaining table with the union representing thousands of postal workers who are on a rotating national strike. Amazon has confirmed it's planning to cut 14,000 jobs starting today as it ramps up spending on artificial intelligence. The retail giant says the majority of jobs lost will be in its corporate workforce as it tries to slim down after overhiring during the pandemic. This would mark Amazon's largest job cut since late 2022, when it eliminated around 27,000 positions. Homeowners in Cambridge are looking at a possible 4.8% property tax hike next year. That's the figure outlined in Mayor Jan Liggett's budget, proposed under strong mayor legislation, which would work out to $85 more for the average household. The city will collect public input at a meeting on November 6th before the budget goes to council for a review. The Greater Ontario Hockey League is planning to expand its number of teams next season. The league is focused on adding one new franchise. There are currently 23 teams, split by 12 clubs in the Western Conference and 11 in the East. The league commissioner says they would like to have an even amount of teams in each conference, and they've already received a lot of interest.
Players want to play in front of people, right? And as you know, when you look through our league, we've been very successful in the smaller community and the community backing. We need volunteers. We need people that love that team so much they can't stand it. And that's the type of person we really love to have.
The league is aiming to make a decision by early next year on where a new franchise will go. And finally for us, we know baseball fever has taken over the country, with the Jays vying for the World Series championship. And in the town of St. Mary's, well, there's no exception. It's the home of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. You can find an array of memorabilia there, including some from the 92 and 93 World Series. And now they're ready to welcome new items, highlighting the season the Jays had this year.
It's cool to wear a Blue Jay t-shirt again because the Jays are doing so well, and that's what you want. You want the 10-year-old kid falling in love with the game and loving the Blue Jays. No matter who their favorite players on the Jays, it doesn't matter, but just love the Blue Jays and jump on that bandwagon and stay on it.
Tonight at 6, Ashley Bacon will have more from the Baseball Hall of Fame. Wow, how cool. Would love to see all the artifacts and history that they have there in St. Mary's. Of course, Game 4 of that World Series goes tonight. Definitely going to be watching that. Maybe not all the way until 3 in the morning if it goes that late again. All right, that's it for us. We're back at the top of the hour. Have a good night.